Perfect. Record is in process. So now, formally, welcome everyone. I have several professionals that they are not able to join in us. So for that reason, I just, I am recording. Normally, I am recording webinars in order to share the information with others that are not able to attend. So yes, this is our webinar number 4. And thank you so much for joining me today. As I said at the beginning, I have Mary Whitaker, that is my career. She is my personal career coach, and she has been supporting me since 2013. Is correct, Mary?
Yes.
Yes. Since 2013, Mary has been supporting me, just giving me guidance, advice, support in different ways in my career here in Canada. So for that reason, I just invited her to be part of this webinar. So let's start talking about the information for today. Yeah. So based on today's webinar, and again, thank you everyone for joining me today. Welcome to see new faces, and welcome to just see other ones that already have changed. So this is Mary. Mary Whitaker is a career consultant, and she is always open to provide support and how to prepare your applications, yeah, cover letters, interview skills. She, as I said before, she has been my mentor since career coach since 2013 in Canada. So Mary, if you can give us a quick introduction about who you are and what is your role with us today, and welcome, and thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. I'm a private individual career coach with very high success of my clients getting interviews and job offers after we work together. I personally write the resume for all my clients. I have a meeting with you for an hour and a half to learn all about your experiences, skills, volunteer work, everything. And then I draft a resume. My daughter formats it. Then we send it back to you. I help you with your job search, what job boards are relevant, how relevant they are. I go over your LinkedIn profile to make sure that it's correct going forward, help you with your interview practice. I have a 95% success rate of my clients getting interviews and job offers. I'm here to help you be successful in your job search.
So that's Mary. Mary has the skills to help you in order to just work on the designing of your resume, how you need to tailor the resume, the way that you can be successfully applying cover letters. No, Mary?
Oh yes, cover letters.
Yes, cover letter
I
is
teach people
something
how to
that
write
you
cover
forgot
letters
to
too.
mention that, but she's a master helping you. Hi, Happy. She's a master, working with you in the creation of cover letters, how you need to work on the paragraphs, what type of information, recruiters, they are looking and expecting to see from you. So Mary is willing to help you with the job seeker process, tailoring your resumes, working on formatting process, cover letters, interview skills. Yeah. So it's a full career coach, correct?
Career consultant, career coach. Yes.
Yes. And this is me. Guys, I have been posting several information week by week about job postings, tips, technical information about how the career is moving in the food industry, agricultural industry. I don't know if I have professionals here from the pharmaceutical industry, but it's something that I'm going to ask after, as I have 2 bonus that I will share during our meeting today. So yes, this is me living in Canada since 2009, working in my professional career since 2000 in Colombia, originally from Colombia. And here in Canada, I have been building my career, and Mary has been a great support in that process. Just understanding the Canadian culture, following the instructions in the Canadian culture, following her tips. Yeah. So yeah, this is a little bit about me. So thank you again. And what you guys will gain from this session today? 3 important elements today. Why tailoring a resume matters, the importance. I have been noticing that professionals, they are not spending the time for tailoring resumes. They are using just generic resumes. Oh, I have my resume for the QA technician. job. So everything that states QA technician, submit, submit, submit. Today we are going to understand why it's important and why it matters in the Canadian and American context. How to do it effectively, yeah, and what recruiters and ITS systems are really looking for. So saying that, let's start talking about the importance for tailoring the resume. So part number one is going to be split in 5 different elements. The generic resumes, how they are overlooked, how they are affecting negatively your application. Yeah. Secondly, recruiters in Ontario, they don't have time to read 2, 3, 4 pages resumes. Yeah. What are the insights from LinkedIn and the HRPA reports based on the applications? Yeah. What is the difference between a generic and tailored resume? Is a comparison, and tailored resumes can lead to up to 50% more interview callbacks based on job scan. Yeah, so it's important to get the importance about those aspects here when we are applying. So let's start talking about why generic resumes get overlooked. Yeah, so normally when we are submitting a generic resume, we are not using the keywords correctly. Probably a couple of words they are matching. The context for a generic resume is not the same for the one that you are spending the time for tailoring your resume. Yeah. And that is not relevant for hiring managers and recruiters. So when your resume is not aligned with the job description, I have here a professional that they work with me. For example, Happy. Happy is a professional that worked with me a couple of weeks ago, tailoring the resume. She has a really great resume, and we were adjusting a couple more elements about the introduction of the introductory part of the resume. Yeah, that is the normally when we are not describing ourselves correctly, this is one of the elements that our applications they're gonna be rejected. No, most of the time by recruiters, by the ATS system. Yeah. So Mary, any points that would you like to add in this specific point?
So sometimes the biggest thing that happens is in the there's no objective, but sometimes it's, I just want to have an opportunity to explore my opportunities as whatever. And sometimes I don't even put in whatever. A generic resume is not useful at all because if your resume is not specific to the job posting, it often goes into file 13, which means file garbage. So generic resumes, you cannot have a resume for all positions when you're doing a successful career search. It doesn't work these days. I don't know when it worked, but it didn't work. It does not work today. And it's very important to do the tailoring, the editing of your resume with each specific job posting.
What happened with time, Mary, with recruiters?
Recruiters, first of all, your resume goes through an ATS system, and that ATS system will say these are potential candidates. And then the HR person, usually some HR persons will look at all resumes together. They look at the first pile of ATS. They will select potential candidates, maybes, and no's, physically do that. So the first review of your resume is like 6 to 8, 10 seconds, very quickly looking at, do you match what the job posting is about?
Excellent, thank you. And costuming, or when you have the opportunity to customize your resume, it definitely receives up to 50%. Yeah. So based on the fast-paced environment that companies and industries they are moving, yeah, recruiters they are looking for that clear alignment between candidates' experience, roles requirements, certification that you can demonstrate supporting your hard skills. Yeah. So what is the idea? When you are tailoring your resume, the idea is to create a list of achievements, keywords, and the impact statements. So the impact statements mean that what you have been doing or what is your experience, yeah, how based on your tasks, how what is the result or outcomes, yeah. We will see a couple of examples over here, yeah, and that is called here in Canada using the mirror language. You know what the employer is actually looking for, yeah. So that is that is the idea, yeah. So any points about this element, Mary?
So the ATS system is very specific. There's a lot of things that you can't do on an ATS system. First of all, you have to make sure that your your resume meets the job description, the keywords. You can't have any vertical lines in your resume. The ATS system reads across your resume. So if you're using charts, blocks, or boxes, it can't read it and it stops. And then when it does that, your resume is rejected. If you're using too many fonts or if you're using too many graphics and all these kind of fancy things, the ATS system can't read it because it's not in language that they understand. So you got to keep your resume very readable. You got to make sure that it can be read across and downwards for mobile accessibility.
Thank you, Mary. So this is an example about generic and tailored summary. Yeah. So this is a comparison. Several resumes are stating tasks like this: experienced QA professional looking for new opportunities. Yeah. So when we are a tailored summary, quality assurance especially, or quality assurance lab technician, yeah, with 2+, 1+, 3+ years in what? Good manufacturing, yeah, environments, compliance, food manufacturing, experience implementing HACCP models or maintaining HACCP models, conducting or supporting internal audits and regulatory compliance, yeah, aligned with CFIA and GFSI standards. Look at the difference between a single statement like this one and a tailored resume like this one, yeah. So this simple change definitely shows the alignment with the real job description. When that one, this specific section here introduces the keywords that they are relevant to the job, yeah, and presents the candidate as not a solution. Yes, it's captivating, it's attracting. The type of statements like these ones, they are generating curiosity to recruiters, and recruiters, they probably will say, I want to know about this person. This person looks like a has clarity about what the company is looking for. Yeah. So this is an important aspect. Any elements over here, Mary?
Okay, so the first one, like when you're looking for new opportunities, it's going to be rejected because you're not saying what kind of opportunities that you're looking for. In your tailored summary, which is now called a profile statement, you can also add in there some of your soft skills, like problem solver, resourceful, adaptable to change. These are key words that people are looking for because in food safety, you have to be compliant, but you also have to be a problem solver. You have to be resourceful. You have to be a team player or make decisions. So you can also add into your profile statement, this tailored summary, your soft skills, which is really critical for you to be putting in there. Your tailored summary, which I refer to as my profile statement, should only be 2 or 3 sentences. This is where your grammar needs to be in. And it has to be very specific.
Definitely.
What you can do.
Perfect. So let's see the next element. Key takeaway about this one. Tailoring your resume is not about rewriting your whole experience. It's about reframing it in the language your ideal employer understands. What is your reference for doing that? The job posting.
Well,
Yeah.
with the job posting, you have to make sure that you go through the job posting, you read the job posting, you want to make sure that you can do the job. You're going to go through it again and make sure that you can do 80 to 90% of the job responsibilities. And then you're going to address those responsibilities in your cover letter. You got to watch for key words, words that they repeat often throughout the job posting. And what they're looking for is also what they can include in your profile tailored summary. So this is why you need to make sure that every resume you write is tailored for that position and you have the relevant experience for that position. And that, because if you don't have the relevant experience or the education that they're looking for, the ATS may discard your resume. Even qualified resumes are discarded by ATS because there's not enough information on there or it's not relevant to what they're looking for.
Correct. So, yep, that is and that is the way that in Canada works like this, using those specific methodologies. Okay, let's talk about the importance also how to effectively tailor your resume. Yeah. So as Mary and I have been stating, yeah, tailoring your resume means making intentional edits that align your background. Yeah. So we can talk about specific examples over here. I have a job posting that this morning I just posted about the Nestle. So let's talk about the theoretical information over here, and then we can do a quick exercise checking the a specific job posting. Yeah. So don't forget about this. This is not about rewriting your entire resume. Just keep in mind using the technical language, the format and the content to create relevance and connection. Yeah. So based on that specific aspect, the first element that we have to do is create a background of the job posting. Yeah. So let me share with you quickly over here this specific example that will help us to illustrate what I am talking about. Yeah. So normally every job posting has different sections. Yeah. So I am advising my professionals that every time that they are reading a job posting, it's extremely important to just take the time for reading the document. Yeah. So let me move this one over here. Yes. So this is an example about an application, a job posting that I did posted this, I think this afternoon. Yeah. So that job posting is about the QA technician job. Is that correct? So this is an introduction. So always I am advising professionals for, okay, take the time to read about the company. Take the time to read about the responsibilities. Take the time to read about what are the values of the company. Yeah. And after you know that your mission fit with the company's mission, and the ingredients and products that company they are manufacturing are aligned with your lifestyle. Yeah, it's important to guarantee that. Yeah, because sometimes due to the potential candidates' health or beliefs, companies they are manufacturing products that professionals they can't taste for any reason. So if you are going to perform a job as a quality assurance specialist or lab technician, most of the responsibilities that they are doing is conducting sensorial testing. Sensorial testing means that you have to taste products. So if the company is manufacturing product that you can't eat for any reason, you can apply. So you have to spend the time reading the job posting. Yeah. So here we have the benefits. Always spend the time. This is an example about Nestle. Not all the companies they are listing like that. Every company is formatting the job posting in a different way. Here is when the beauty starts. Yeah. We are looking for a lab technician based on our London ice cream factory location. Are you willing to relocate? Are you okay with the city that the job posting and the company is offering that job? Yeah. Reporting to the quality assurance supervisor, this role is part of the quality assurance team and will be responsible to perform values lab analysis. So here is when you need to start thinking about what is your experience based on what? Job analysis or lab analysis, document results, and contribute to a safe and quality product for our consumers. Yeah.
So can I comment
Then,
on there? This is Martha. This is very important to make sure that you edit this on your resume because so many people will use quality assurance technician. And that way, if you don't use the right title, your resume can be like ignored. You got to make sure that your product, that tailored summary that Martha was talking about, that you put in that you're a lab technician with X number of years, but you can do this. And you want to make sure that you have and that you perform analytics and you can write accurate document results. You got to use these words in your tailored summary.
Correct. Thank you, Mary. And here, those bullet points are the bullet points that for your application, you have to demonstrate that you have the hard skills or soft skills. Yeah. So here, follow all related guidelines and procedures for personal safety, food safety, environment, company security. We have here personal protective equipment, hazard analysis. Yeah. Chemical spills, recycling as required. Be a role model for quality and GMPs, means good manufacturing practices. Yeah. Work in a manner that provides maximum safety to yourself and your fellow associates. Yeah. Follow Nestle continuous excellent principles. So if you have experience about continuous improvement before, it's important to state on your experience what type of tasks did you, yeah, perform in order to demonstrate the experience about this. Look at the action verb over here. Perform routine lab analysis and quality assurance duties following the quality procedures and standards. Yeah. So when you are tailoring your resume, you have to use this a similar verb, past, yeah, and you have to state what is your experience for the company that you worked before. Yeah, we have analyzed samples including microplating and chemical analysis. Document results. If you have used a different software, not SAP, just list that one. Yeah, and you can state in your cover letter that you are a faster learning person. you know. Another important aspect here, calibrate and maintain lab equipment, including housekeeping, cleaning, and 5S. Yeah. So if you have experience about that, normally you have to state in your past experiences what type of activities did you conduct calibrating equipment in the lab. Yeah. Perform daily records, review of raw material. Normally, when we are working as a QA lab technicians, we are performing reviews in the receiving area, receiving raw material, packaging material. That is when you can, yeah, just list that those tasks as a past experience. Yeah, responsible for the release of materials meeting quality specifications. Yeah, perform tests on pre-operational microbiological samples, review test results, coordinate any corrective actions. Yeah, communicate results. So here we have an example of a soft skill, communication. That is something that is important to highlight. Yeah, responsible for blocking any product that doesn't meet quality specification. We know what does it mean in the food industry. Products that we need to put on hold when they are not according to the customer specifications. Yeah, here work with other departments. So how I am interacting with others, teamwork. Yeah, we have here sensory panels. Yeah, 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 yeah. This is the important one. Yeah, we have to conduct sensory analysis. So remember, before clicking the submitted button, think about I am fitting with that company based on the ingredients and the products that they are manufacturing. I don't have any restrictions. It's so important to think about this. Yeah. Adherence to quality monitoring schemes, corrective actions. Yeah, that is another example of a hard skill. Yeah. Responsible for managing, updating, and ensuring synergy between SAP, DMO, and quality management systems. Yeah. I am always promoting this. When professionals they are working on, they are reading job postings, please, something that you don't understand about those acronyms, feel free to use ChatGPT or Copilot, asking, what does it mean this in this specific environment. SAP is one of the most famous softwares that companies they are using for managing internally, information about raw materials, inventory, releasing products. Yeah. If you don't have an idea about DMO, what does it mean? Go and use Copilot. If you don't have the experience, but you have experience in a similar model, you can state that in your resume. Yeah. And QMS, quality management systems. So when you have experience about quality management systems, please be specific about what type of standard. ISO 22000, BRCGS, SQF, FSSC 22000, IFS. Yeah. Here, responsible for tasks associated with compliance to Nestle. So they are looking for professionals that they easily can adhere to the company's standards. Companies, they are hiring professionals that they are willing to follow instructions. We have to be a role model. Yeah. Champion a non-negotiable attitude for quality and safety and other risks. Yeah. And
can I
based on
just go
this,
before you go on to
go ahead.
what makes you successful? These key responsibilities, you need to make sure that you can do 80 to 90% of them. If you
Excellent.
are a new graduate, you got to think, how have I learned about these things? And then refer to how you learned about them in projects or schools. You've got to kind of do that comparison. You can also do, I like doing a skills or key competency questions section. So you can put down like your SAP, your quality management, your non-compliance requirement, quality safety as key strengths that you have, and put them as a list so that people, and then under your work experience, you can explain that more in detail with those key words. Sometimes employers like those key competencies as a separate section, and then you can alter those competencies depending on what each resume job posting is applying to. But you've got to make sure that you are looking at these key responsibilities. Can I do it? Yes or no? If you can't do it, talk about it in your cover letter that you're willing to learn it, and how it relates to what you learned. And that. So it's really important that you do a checklist and yes, no, but I can learn it, or this is what this has mean in my own culture, because sometimes industries use different terminologies, but it means the same thing. The process may mean the same thing. So you got to make sure that you list these. And these are also, if you have, you also want to show result statements, accomplishments relating to these responsibilities. So that's including your numbers, your percentages, and that with relating to each specific area, if you can.
Excellent. So let's talk about what the company is looking for. This is the criteria that companies they are using to select you as a potential candidate for being invited for an interview, or they will reject it using the ATS system, or having a recruiter that is checking your resume between 6 to 8, no more than 10 seconds. So they are looking for your background. They are asking for a bachelor degree. So if you are from India, from Philippines, from Latin America, you have to state your background. They are looking for someone that has a background in biology, microbiology, chemistry, nutrition, or a science or food-related field. Yeah, a college diploma in science or related field is acceptable too. Yeah, relevant work experience in lab. Something that is interesting from this job posting is that they do not have the number of years. Number of years of experience is not listed here. That is good, but it's good but not good. Yeah. Sometimes we have companies that they are so restricted. We are looking for someone that has 2 to 3 years, 1.5 years to 3 years of experience. Yeah. Relevant. So in the Canadian context, what does it mean relevant work experience? We are from immigrants, so we are reading this. What does it mean exactly, the word relevant?
Well, I think it's a number of years. They're actually, when you look through the rest of the things, they're looking at experience in analytics and experience in communication, ability, like you have to, relevant experience, even though they don't say it. Even when you go to school, you're getting 2 or 3 years work experience. So this posting is open to new grads, people who have entry level. Like entry level is probably 1 to 3 years, and relevant experiences may be 3 to 5 years and more. So this is really vague. So you have to make sure that when you're talking about relevant experience, that you really detail what your experience is in lab environment, and be very descriptive of what that means and under what circumstances you did it, whether it's at school or with a company, and also include your international experience. This is a lot with international professionals. They don't include their experience from their home country. To me, that's very valuable. So you've got to include that, because when you're in an industry, most of the processes are the same. The terminology may be different. And that's what you have to be aware of when you're applying for Canadian companies, that you're using Canadian terminology.
That's correct. Thank you, Mary. So, experience in analytical methods. So, you have experience in the lab. You have to state that in your resume. What type of methodologies. Don't say just analytical methods. No, you have experience. You have to state specifically what type of analytical methods. That is when a recruiter is feeling attracted to say, I will contact Happy, or I will contact Cassius. Yeah, because checking the resume is letting me know about what type of analytical methodologies. It's not general. No, you have to give an example if you have the experience about that. Yeah, and have the ability to accurately remember that word, Mary. Accuracy, meticulously.
That's
Mary,
right,
only.
meticulously.
Yeah, so it's those type of words. They are a key element when you are tailoring a resume. Yeah, performing various physical, chemical, and micro testing. Give examples in your resume. Yeah, give examples about what type of chemical testing, microbiological testing, physical testing you are conducting. This is a soft skill, communication skills, to be able to effectively communicate within the department and with other departments via emails, in person, or on the phone. Yeah, details, about any failures that can pose risk. Microsoft Office, no supervision, independence decision making, ability to possess good organizational skills, interpersonal skills, SAP knowledge. What does it mean? This is a good example, Mary. SAP knowledge will be an asset. What does it mean when you are reading it in a statement that is an asset? Is this mandatory? Yes or no?
Oh, an asset is for the recruiter. It's meaning that if somebody has SAP knowledge or worked with it, their resume is going to go to the top of the pile. That's what that asset means. It's not preferred, but it is an asset, and those people with them will have that. And then the next one is preferred. So if you don't have it, you're in the maybe pile. Okay, but if you have it, then it's definitely your resume is put in the top piles.
So
Okay.
it means that could be a differentiatory aspect, yeah? So if you want to differentiate yourself, that is when those certifications and additional education can put you in top of other ones that they do not have it. This morning, we had an interesting conversation with Mary when I was driving from Sarnia. So today I had my last class with Lambton College. So we had a conversation just talking about the preparation for this webinar. And we had the opportunity to talk about the importance for the education. People do not realize about the importance for getting those certificates, but just a simple HACCP certificate or having a certificate about Canadian regulations, lab testing. Yeah. We have different courses. They are free. You have to pay for other ones. But anytime that you have the opportunity to educate yourself, you are making an investment in yourself. And that small investment means that a company will pick your resume as a top of the ones because you have the knowledge and the skills. Yeah.
So with the education and certificates, they've got to be current. They can't be you took this certification that's not relevant to the job. And you also have to make sure that you are putting down your dates when you completed these certificates. This is one thing that employers are looking for. If you don't have the dates, they may disregard your resume because people lie. You don't want to complete that you completed this course or this certificate or diploma, but you only took courses towards it. HR people are looking for, okay, you got this education. What are you doing currently to keep current in your field of study? There's lots of changes with food industry. There's lots of requirements. The more you're taking, the better you have a chance of getting that job because then they don't have to train you in all these things. You're bringing the knowledge and education to your job. So it's very important to make sure that you have, if you're taking a course and you have registered for a course, you can add that in your resume and say, registered to do it, taking it this time, so that they know that you're continuously improving yourself. Because food safety is really critical in food manufacturing. Anything to do with agribusiness, food stuff, it's important that you have the current certifications to work in that field. If you lie on your resume, this is also grounds for dismissal.
And additionally to the point that Mary states, it's important to add the institution that is issuing your certification.
Yes.
Yeah, it provides credibility. Yes, Mary?
Yes. And if you have certification from another country, I highly recommend that you go through WES, World Education Services, to have your education from another country accredited to what Canadian standards are. Because Canadian employers, North American employers are going by what we need here, irregardless of what you've earned from another country. So you want to make sure that you go through that process. It can be expensive, but in the long run, it helps you be accredited. It helps you be seen as a professional in Canada. Martha
Pays
did
off.
that.
Pays off. It pays off. And I am normally in my LinkedIn profile when I see professionals that they are working on the equivalence. I am always just motivating them like a good job for doing that. It's an investment. Trust me. In Canada, they want to see credibility. Yeah, unfortunately, several situations companies they have been facing. So for that reason, they are asking for okay credibility. I need to see that you are a real professional in that industry. Okay.
And employers now are checking your educational qualifications. So if you lie on your resume with relating to your educational qualifications, this can either discard your resume or lead to future being fired. You've got to be honest on your resume, and you've got to make sure that your dates are correct, and you've got your current, and you always want to make sure that you are in alignment to food standards in the manufacturing industry, because if you're not, then the company can get fined.
Yes. So here we have a couple of examples. So we already conduct the exercise here, the breakdown of the job posting. Yeah. So identify the keywords. Yeah. What type of skills the job posting is asking for. Remember, those abbreviations or acronyms is important to have the GMP, good manufacturing practices, HACCP, hazard analysis, critical control points. Yeah, it's important to highlight both the skills, hard and soft skills. How? Don't forget, follow the reference from the job posting. That is the tailoring process. Just copy and paste your last resume version of resume. When you are tailoring your resume, that is when, okay, let's see what their resume is asking for. Lab environment experience. Let's see from which companies do I have the lab environment experience, and start stating how you can respond about those activities that we have here, or focus on these ones. Yeah. Another point, Mary, that I am advising professionals is just to organize the experience based on the bullet points that they are listed on the job posting. So they have to, in my case, they have to organize, yeah, based on the follow the job related guidelines and procedures. So they can state in the resume if they can explain how they have experience in this. Follow with the hazard analysis, critical control points, how they were a role model before. Yeah. The next bullet point, okay. How did you provide safety to other ones in different companies. Yeah. So that is the tailoring process. Organize yourself, organize your resume based on the order that we have here. Yeah. If for one of the companies you don't have the specific experience in the number 5, analysis of samples and including microplating, yeah, for the latest company, but you have a company before that you conducted that is when you have to organize that as a task number 1. Yeah, that is another important aspect. Yeah, and pay
So just
close.
before you go on to
Go ahead.
another section, you cannot copy
I know.
the the job responsibilities and put it in your resume. You've got to come up with your own words. You got to use past tense action verbs to describe your activity of how you explaining that responsibility. You cannot, employers are not accepting AI resumes because it's not your personal experiences. You've got to include your personal experiences, your information, your understanding of the different systems, because this is something that is, your resume is personal. So you can't copy and paste, even putting down exactly what the job posting said. I'm going to put that into my resume. It's going to be it becomes generic and that's going to be eliminated.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's important to pay attention about those small details. Yeah. Let's see the next one. So match your experience. Yeah. So professional summary. What is a professional summary, Mary?
Well, to me, that's like your tailored summary that you mentioned before. I call it my profile sentence, and you don't need the profile in there. You just have to describe what the job position, the title that you're looking for, and how your experiences. This is your hard skills and your soft skills combined in 2 or 3 sentences, and you're telling the employer what you can do for them, what kind of experience you have, and that you want to talk about your soft skills, that you can analyze data accurately, you can work collaboratively with the team to make sure that everything is with compliance to the quality standards within the industry. You also, if you're talking about risk analysis is important, but this is your professional statement. It's a similar thing as about when you're talking about tell me about yourself. It's the same, similar to when you're talking on your LinkedIn about who you are. This is very critical because if you don't have a good professional summary, which I refer to as my profile statement, the employer is not going to read anything further.
Excellent. Thank you. Bullet points under your work experience. Yeah. It's important to state that your experience in bullet points and the skills section and certifications, not tables. Correct, Mary?
You don't want to use tables, you don't want to use boxes because the ATS system can't read them. They can't go past the vertical line. Under your skill sections, you got to use both keywords from the resume, job posting, industry terminology. You can also include your soft skills like problem solving, risk analysis, those kind of things. You want to have a separate you have a separate section for your certifications and education. You may also want to have a separate section for your computer software and your language skills. Language skills are becoming very important. If you speak another language, put it down. If you're in the food safety, any of these SAP programs that if you're advanced in Excel, because Excel is if you have an advanced level of Excel, that's really important because a lot of manufacturers are using Excel to record their data and analyze their data.
Excellent. So yes, I will show you an example about the general resume in a couple of minutes. Okay. Okay. Let's see the next one. This is an important one. How you can state your achievements, highlight measurably achievements that align with the role. Yeah. What is the impact of your contributions in the past? Yeah. So using metrics whenever possible, reduce products non-conformities by. If you don't have an exact number, you can add approximately. Yeah. Completed internal audits with 100, 90, 95% compliance. Yeah. So it's important to be focused on outcomes like food safety improvements, efficiency improvements, and regulatory audits. Yeah. So remember that tip, Mary, about the start situation, task, action, result.
Well, that's one formula that you can use, but there's other formulas that I use more, that's more easier for people. But when you're talking about your metrics, you got to make sure that how are you saving the company on productivity, quality? If you're reducing waste, for example, that's really important. If you're doing things with non-compliance, that's important. If you've learned how to save money relating to labor costs, that's important too. But if you've talked about, well, by following this process or introducing this process, that saved time for the production. That's also important. So when you're looking at metrics, you want to talk about how did it save money or improve efficiencies. So it's about saving time, money, costs, labor, and improving efficiencies.
Excellent. Thank you. So we have here tools to help you tailor a resume. Jobscan.com is a great tool to upload your resume, and you can copy and paste the job posting in order to compare how your resume has a keyword alignment, and you can receive a match score. So Mary said at the beginning of the webinar today that the percentage that you have to be aligned with the job posting must be 100%, Mary?
No, probably not.
No.
80 to 90% of your experiences or learned income has to align to the requirements outlined in the job posting.
Excellent. Let's see. So if you don't know exactly how you are aligned with the job posting, use this website. Okay. Word cloud generator is a type of tool that help you to visualize the most common terms in the job description. Yeah, as Mary stated before, do not copy and paste. You can use a synonym, yeah, website in order to use similar terminology to just manage the approach of your task. You know, if the experience is from the past, you have to use past verbs. You know, if you are currently enrolled in a job, so what is the time that they have to use for the verbs, Mary? It's not
Okay,
past
so
tense,
under
correct?
resume writing, everything is written in past tense action verbs. Because when the person is reading it, you did it yesterday or the day before or 2 years ago, whatever. Sometimes you can, in your profile statement, you can put a career goal in there saying that my career goal is to work in this area as a quality technician or a lab technician. By analyzing results, I will produce this. You can do that as a career goal in your tailored summary, put that in, and that's like future, present, and future verbs. When you're talking about words on your resume, you want to make sure that you're using words that you can say and know the meaning of them, and you can back it up with an example. You don't want to use words that you have no clue, because I'll ask people, what does this word mean? Or give me an example of this. They have no clue of what that word means. So again, that's a trick for HR people if you're using inappropriate words.
And you have to be able to provide the response. If you are invited for an interview, everything that is in your resume, you have to be able to explain that, correct, Mary?
Oh, correct. Sometimes when I do my interview practice, I'll go through my resume with you and say, tell me, how did you do this? What kind of results did you get? Tell me, explain this to me, as well as the interview questions. They also like white space on your resume so they can make notes about the resume.
Correct. And manual keyword highlighting, like you use the color coded highlighters to map how your resume matches with the requirements. Always, please spend time reading the job posting before say, I'm going to apply. Just be careful with that, yeah? Adjusting in a QA technician resume, yeah? So let me share with you an example, Mary. I have an example of a specific just resume over here. Yeah. So this is just a draft, but just give me your points of view about this resume. Give me just 1 second. I'm gonna put this one over here. This is a quick analysis that I'm gonna do with Mary. So let me reshare the screen quickly over here. Let me include this specific information over here. Yeah. Okay. So let's do something over here. This is a resume. Yeah. So this is a resume from the person that we have over here. Yeah. The professional summary, core and technical strengths, certifications, professional experience, Canadian experience. Done.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's start quickly about the introduction.
So first of all, your contact information, it has to be, it's not even centered properly.
Correct.
You don't need your address on your resumes anymore. The reason for that is that employers are looking at your address to find out the economic status of that neighborhood and using that as a salary guide. So, for example, part of Bully Street in London is very low income, and then part of it is middle class. So, but employers may just assume that you say, Bully, you're in lower income, so they're going to undergive you the salary that you deserve. The professional statement, you don't need to put the professional statement in there. It's just you can take that right off, and that looks good. I mean, like, but again, seeking to contribute to Maple Leaf Foods as an FSM qualification, I would not put that in because you don't know how you're going to contribute to the company. Like, what are their expectations? This is usually discussed at the interview, how you can contribute. Because right now you don't know how to do that. Thank you for putting that up a little bit larger in that.
Give me 1 second, I can do it more.
And the other thing is you got to be very careful when you're talking about with number of years experience. If you have a lot of experience, like 10, 15, 20 years experience working in the industry, and you've come to Canada as a new immigrant, that by saying 10, 20 years, you're putting yourself as an older worker, and London, particularly London, discriminates against older workers. So you got to kind of rephrase that a bit.
How about the core skills and technical strengths?
This is where this kind of block the ATS system cannot read. So it reads it as one full sentence. So reassessment, deviation management, and root cause analysis. CPA, hold, and release. So it doesn't make sense when they read it all together across. So it stops. The ATS system usually cannot read past this vertical line. So all this information is going to be deleted, or it's going to read it right across, depending on the ATS system that they have. You're better to list them down without the square, the lines. They also want to know, okay, this is development and reassessment. Okay. You can put bullets beside these core competencies and technical strengths. You may want to subsegregate them. Your certifications, you always need the dates where you got it and who authorized that. You can't just have a box and saying, I got this. You got to tell me where, who authorized that, who certified you to get that, and the dates that you got it.
Let's see just one example or two about the experience. What is your opinion about the statements?
So this one sometimes it doesn't give me enough experience. Your dates, for example, have to be aligned to the right side of the page. You don't need months as much as people want. But some of this is not telling me, I want to know more, like documented and provided staff training. Conducted sensory analysis during processes. That's not enough information. What kind of sensory analysis did you do, and what kind of processing are you talking about? And conducted internal audits and implemented quality standards. What internal audits are you using? What's ensured adherence to CPPs and CPs? Sometimes the first person who's reading your resume is HR or an HR assistant. Sometimes they may not understand all the designations that you need to do your specific job. So I recommend when you're using your CPPs, and this is actually monitored critical control points in capitals, and then you put it in brackets. Okay. You always got to make sure that you use it. The first time you use it is a formal name, and then you can use brackets. And it's also, these programs are capitalized because they're a specific thing. Okay. And then you're talking about analyzing quality concerns, it's not giving me enough information of what you can do. What root causes did you define? So on your resume, you really have to be descriptive about what you're doing. This is, depending on the experience, to me, it's an entry-level person with time talking about this, and I'm not sure what they're doing in that. So you have to make sure that your bullet points describe what you're doing with that and how you're doing it.
Perfect. Let's see what else do we have. So the same thing.
Same thing.
Simple tasks, yeah? And documented and provided staff training. You will never receive a phone call with a resume like this.
No, because to me, it's not, I would be asking them, I'd be promoting my resume writing services for them because you're not giving me enough information about how you're doing that activity.
Perfect. This person has a Canadian experience as an entry level job. Yeah, it's like this is not entry level. It's like a bridge job. So how a person can just state this bridge job in the resume? Could be at the beginning of the resume.
Well, is this relevant to the job that they're posting to?
At
That's my
least they
first.
are exposing themselves to the food industry.
So they've got applied HACCP-based food safety practices in day-to-day kitchens. I'm not sure, they're missing the job title here,
It's like a franchise associate.
but that's not the correct way of saying it. So if you're working at Harvey's, you're usually a crew member or a cashier. You're not called a franchise associate. Even though Harvey's can be privately owned or they're corporate stores, you don't know which they are. So you need to make sure that they are having that. And having a Canadian experience, you need to make this, pull it out more applicable to what you're applying to
Perfect.
in that.
Let's see how about the education? This is the last part.
Education, again, the brackets, you don't need it. And you just say post-med, what is this? Certificate, degree, diploma, what kind of what's the qualification there? You're just saying postgraduate in project management, but is that a certificate, a diploma, or a degree? And again, you're going to align your dates to the right side of your resume.
How about the additional highlights? Are those ones?
These I would be putting in your profile statement that you have strong cross-functional communications with accuracy and audit preparation. You have experience working in food safety documentation. I'm not sure what the trending means and team training. It doesn't seem to fit. And known for ownership, integrity, and fast learning. Those sometimes can be put in your profile statement or you can add them in your cover letter.
Excellent. Thank you, Mary.
You're
so
welcome.
This is an example about how it's important, the importance for adjusting your resume correctly. Yeah. And let's talk about what recruiters are looking for. Yeah. So this is a key point, understanding the recruiter's mindset. Yeah. 6 to 8 seconds, no more than 10 seconds on an initial scan of your resume. Yeah. This means that your most important information needs to be visible immediately and clearly aligned with the role. Yeah. So job titles. Tailor your past job titles ethically. What does it mean ethically, Mary, based on your experience with international professionals?
Well, the ethical, I think it's all about work ethics in Canada. I would not use that word, but you need to make sure that the job titles, you are qualified to do that job title through your learned experiences or international and Canadian experiences. You want to make sure that you're using the word job title from the job posting. That's very critical. Okay. And you got to use the keywords. This is why you highlight on the job posting the words that are either repeated, the words that they're using in abbreviations, so that you understand them. And then you need to know how you can explain your activities and your experience relating to those keywords.
Excellent. We have an example over here. Yeah. So if you have in the past a job like a quality control associate, you can adjust to quality assurance technician because that has a similar approach. Yeah. It reflects the same scope. Yeah. Keywords and technical terms. Don't forget using the exact wording from the job posting. GMP, good manufacturing practices. CAPA, corrective actions and preventive action plans. Yeah, BRCGS is the standard name. That is okay to pass the ATS system. Use both acronyms. This is something that I got from Mary when she was supporting me in my resume, review process. Full terms, hazard analysis, critical control points. HR doesn't have knowledge about technical elements. So for that reason, it's important to include both the acronyms and the full terms. Yeah. Uh, it's important to get the summary
Yeah,
with
that's
clear intent, a tailored 3 or 4 line professional summary that states who you are, what your skills are, type of role you are targeting, achievements using industry specific language, quantifiable results. Employees they want to know you about what has been your impact from past experiences, not just like we saw before, responsibilities, list of general tasks, these ones are interesting examples. Lead validation project that shortened product release time by approximately 10%. Oh, that was the contribution from Marta. Yeah. Clean, modern formatting, using, as Mary stated at the beginning of the webinar, fonts, clear headings,
okay.
wide space, no dense paragraphs. Yeah, avoiding graphics or tables that the ATS system may not read. Mary, quick advice: what type of fonts are the most common ones that we can use in Canada? Arial,
Okay.
Calibri, Time
So the
Font.
fonts that you want to use is Arial, Calibri, Apotos, which is a new font that Google has put in, New Roman, and your font size has to be 10 to 12.
Got
Um,
it?
the- these are the fonts that the government has approved on for resumes for most applications in Canada. You
Excellent.
want to avoid your fancy fonts. You want to make sure that your font has one font in it. You're not using multiple fonts. You're not using the fancy graphic fonts that you would use in advertising. You want to make sure that your fonts and your resume with white space is easy to read and it's enjoyable.
Thank you, Mary. What turns recruiters off? So you have to avoid those or these red flags, that may lead to your resume being discarded. I have a lot of complaints in my LinkedIn messages section. I am not receiving any invitations. I am submitting 15 to 20 applications weekly. I cannot imagine how a professional is submitting 20 applications weekly when normally when you are tailoring a resume, you can spend between 2 to 3 hours just tailoring your resume for one job. You know, it's not quantity, it's quality. Okay. So avoid long paragraphs instead of bullet points. They reduce the reliability and hide your key achievements. Outdated experience. Don't forget, prioritize for the last 5, 10 years experience and missing certifications or credentials, especially in food, pharma, and agricultural sectors. That could affect your application. What else do we have over here?
The
Let's.
most important thing about a resume is many people put in extra information that's not relevant to that job posting. So you got to make sure that your information is relevant to the job posting that you're applying to.
So, how to pass the ATS system, Mary?
So you want to make sure that you're using one font, you're not using any boxes, charts, pictures. You are using the keywords from the job posting. You want to make sure that it's readable and that the ATS always reads across the resume. If it has blocked by a vertical line, it's not going to read anything else.
How about the type of document? Remember that you are always advising me about not using PDF unless it is requested.
Yes, a lot of companies don't pay for the PDF because it's an extra program that they have to pay for now. So, this is what's happening in technology words. So you have to use a Microsoft Word document. You have to make sure that your software is current because if you're using older software, you can't edit it and nobody can read it. So you got to make sure that the files, the software that you're using is current. And what they're predicting is this coming up fall. If you don't have Windows 10 or 11, you won't be able to use your computer at all for anything. So you've got to invest into the current software, and you can do that on a monthly subscription, but you've got to make sure that you're using the correct software. Otherwise, you can't edit your documents and you can't send them. and that people can't read them. And you also got to make sure that your resume can be read downwards to be so that people can look at it on a mobile, because a lot of people will scan it at night to say yes or no. They may do that, but most HR people and recruiters are actually looking at your resume on a laptop during work hours.
Excellent. And using a simple plain text and standard alignment and bullet formatting is something that definitely will help to your application to pass the ATS system. Yeah.
Yes. And make
Uh,
sure and the other thing is that you don't use the whole page. Like I've seen resumes that people are using very small font and it goes from page to page. There's no margins. You need margins and you need white space in your formatting.
Correct. So, standard formatting using the chronological structure. Is that correct, Mary?
I don't often I don't use chronological resumes because the purpose of a chronological resume was to show progression to the employer that you did this job within a company. I use mostly skills-based or focused resumes. In the States, they're getting a higher retraction on that. Some company HR managers, I've heard that she won't look at a resume unless it's in a chronological order. Sometimes I know that by looking at it. Sometimes, depending on the company, they only will accept chronological resumes. Some people will accept my skills-based resumes, but that's my personal knowledge that I share with my clients. And it often is in the job posting these days.
Excellent. So don't forget, avoid the bolding, underlining, as Mary said, decorative fonts, and the mirror language. Include the specific location, certification, and skills using the exact language of the job description. Example, if the posting leads preventive controls qualified individual, PCQI, don't just write food safety training. Be exact. If it asks for London, Ontario, and you live there, spell it out as shown. Those ones are the final tips. Okay, so key takeaways and recap. Tailor your resume for each role. Extremely important. Remember, no quantity, quality. Be focused in one or two jobs weekly, but spend the time for tailoring your resume. Looking for a job is like a full-time job. It's something that causes stress. Sometimes it's not easy just submitting resumes and not receiving any feedback or any invitations. Don't give up. You have to prepare yourself mentally. This is a process where mentally you need to be strong. Mirror the language and keywords from the posting. Speak the employer's language using the terminology that is posted in the job posting. And focus on clarity, achievements, and formatting. Your resume is not just a list of duties. Yeah, it is an history of impact. Use clear formatting, strong action verbs, and quantifiable results to make your contributions stand out in just a few seconds or recruiter review. Thank you.
Can I add a few
Any
things, Martha, of what
Go
not
ahead,
to
go ahead,
include
Mary.
on a
Go ahead, feel
resume?
free to do it.
That's really important these days. You've got to use current email addresses. Hotmail has you got to use current emails that are regulated by the industry. There are certain email addresses that the employers will not accept. Two of them right now are Hotmail and Yahoo because they've been associated with viruses or illegal activities. You never want to include your hobbies on your resume or reference page. References are in a separate page. You don't put your personal address on your resume unless it's specifically asked for, and it's only used for in government postings. You want to make sure that you can do the job. Don't just apply for the job because it has a title that you can do. For example, I had a client, his company had a posting, they had 500 applicants. People are applying for jobs just because they think they can do the job. All 500 applicants, none of them were qualified to do the job. None of them had enough interest. They did not check what kind of company it was. They were just applying because it said manager. So you got to do your research about the company, know what the company does, and know that you can do that job. And never ever lie or give false information on your resume, because that can disqualify you as a candidate, or it can lead to being fired for wrong, because that's fraud for employment purposes. And always use words that you can explain with a backup of an example. And that's about it. So that's good.
Excellent. So questions. I have a question here, Mary, from one of our professionals in the meeting that is asking about if a master degree will be an overqualification for the position of Nestle. So let's see. If we have a
So
participant here, Mary, give me 1 second. Just reinstate the job posting over here. So this is the job posting. These ones are the list of requirements. And we have a potential candidate in this meeting that wants to apply for the position. So having a master degree will be an overqualification for this position.
yes,
So what would
they're
be
only
the
looking
advice
for
from
a
you?
BSc, a Bachelor of Science, and this is the best of the things. The reason that a lot of employers don't want to hire masters, because often people want to hire a higher salary because of their level of education, and they can't afford that.
So what would be your advice for the person that here wants to apply for a job like this?
Do not include on your resume that you have a master's degree. And I can tell you from personal experiences, because before I became into career counseling, I had a BA in psychology and I have a social service diploma. I never put that on my resumes when I'm applying for accounting clerk positions, because they would never look at it. They would always see me as overqualified.
Okay. Is that okay? Perfect. How many bullet points are recommended in resume for each job that a professional is listing, Mary?
I try to keep my bullet points to maybe a maximum of 5. You don't
Yes.
want to overload the person reading it. You don't want to have too many bullet points. You want to avoid repetition if you're doing a chronological resume. This is why I choose to do a skills-based resume, because I can talk about one bullet point, and that may be applicable in different positions, or you're doing the same job in different companies. So again, you want to be simple, easy to read. If you have too many bullet points, then you're going to end up with a 3-4 page resume. And then depending on the length, that can also be a reason why they disqualify your resume, because it's too long.
Excellent. Anyone else has another question about the resume, comments that want to ask Mary? So we have an expert here. So feel free to unmute your mic or just let me know if you have any other questions about the applications over here. So we have the bullet points. Yes, you're right, Mary. Between 4 to 6, that will be okay. Okay,
Yes.
let me see. We have another one over here. Let's read. If we don't have any work experience, does part-time job or will counts as an experience, Mary?
Yes. Part-time job is often good work experience because you understand following procedures, work standards, for that kind of thing that can be shown. If you are an international student, then you need to focus on your learned outcomes from your courses, your school projects that you've completed. That's what you have to do. In my case, when I came in the field of career counseling, I had no experience in this field, but I had lots of experience volunteering, working with people. I used that volunteer experience to get my first job as an employment facilitator, employment counselor.
Excellent.
Sometimes, also when I worked with, when Ford was closing their Talbotville plant, a lot of them didn't want to go back into manufacturing, but they had done bricklaying, cement work, building decks. So we focused on those things as a volunteer, and courses that you've taken on the resume to show that you are a qualified candidate.
Excellent.
And
Okay.
again, there was a position about number of pages on the resume. Most professional resumes are a 2-page resume. If you're going into if you have lots of leadership experience, I will do a 3-page resume for a leader. But most of my resumes are 2 pages. I do a 1-page resume for students, or tradespeople.
So in conclusion, we have like no more than 2 pages, correct?
2 pages is for most people.
Okay, perfect. So that is the answer for that question. Yeah, resume should be always 1 pages or 2. Okay.
2 pages. Your
Okay,
resume
perfect.
should be at least 2 pages because you want to make sure that the person can read it. And this is where you're using white space because they often make notes on it. And so, yes, a mid-level senior can be 3 pages. I've often used that for my, I have had a controller after we did his resume, and it was 3 pages. He got a job as a VP of finance. I've had one guy who worked within a company and he was progressively moved up the ladder to different senior positions. His resume was 3 pages. So depending on the position and your experience, it depends on the length of your resume.
Perfect. If we do not have work experience, how do we use academic practical experience? Should we mention each course?
You can. This is where, if you've got, people forget that when you go to school for 2 or 3 years or 4 years or whatever it is, you have relevant experience from your education. So when they're looking for a minimum of 1 or 2 years, you have that through your education. So if you have no work experience and you're a newer grad, you need to focus on your projects. What was the purpose of the project? What did you do? What was it, a team project or an individual project? And what were the results of that project, including your marks and or how how was the people in your class responded to that project? And again,
Excellent.
volunteer work can be very critical in your resume.
Perfect. Thank you, Mary. Let's say I want to transition from quality assurance to research and development, but have no prior research and development experience. How would I tailor my resume?
Well, you want to focus on your cover letter and the purpose of what you want to do. You want to have a career statement, like a goal, this is what I want to do. You want to focus on your transferable skills, your soft skills in doing analytics. Like when you're going from a lab technician to doing research, there's a lot of research there. You can talk about your research that you did through your school projects. You've got to find your transferable skills and how to relate to them to the job. So you're focusing on that. And that's through the cover letter and your resume.
Correct. Thank you. So anyone else has a questions, information? So I just posted here the information from Mary Whitaker. This is her email, phone number, and link for getting access to her LinkedIn profile. So if you need support about any tailoring process for the resume, skills for writing a cover letter, interviews preparation, yeah, LinkedIn profile. Mary has the experience for working on it. Yeah, I'm gonna prepare another session that is focused on interviews and another one for LinkedIn profile. People do not realize how LinkedIn is a powerful tool to connect with potential recruiters or professionals that will open the door to you. So I will work with Mary for doing that. Okay. No more
And the
questions?
other thing is that you need a
Go ahead.
LinkedIn profile because when an employer has 500 to 2,000 applicants, they need to be looking at other resources. So they're going to be looking at how they can advertise through LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the #2 resource for job searching. The first one is personal recommendation, which now is not as important because some companies will not take personal recommendations. They say you have to apply through the employee portal. But your LinkedIn is very powerful, and people don't realize how powerful it is. And I can help you with that profile and teach you how to use LinkedIn to do a job search and network with it, LinkedIn.
But for the LinkedIn session, we will be working in a different webinar in order to let you know what is the importance for having a LinkedIn profile. Okay, so if we don't have any more questions, I'm gonna ask you for the last request of the day. And several of you have been attending these sessions before. So I will appreciate if you can turn on your cameras if this is not a problem for you. So let me stop sharing. And I want to take a picture because we want to share the work that you guys are, working in order to improve your application. So why not just turning on the cameras in order to take a picture, and I will make it a post this afternoon or this evening just to share, okay, how many people did attend? Yeah. So thank you, Malita. Thank you, Krishna, Shaitanya. Hi, Shaitanya. It's good to see you again. Excellent. Hannah, Kashis, Pal, Akshar, Alisa, Alisa. Alisa did attend before too. Thank you, Pal. Kashis and Riri, Megan. Okay, so let's do it. Yeah, don't feel obligated to do it, but let's work on this. Thank you, Megan. Appreciate it. Okay, I have someone else over here. Okay, let's do it over that way. Okay, okay. When I said three, two, one, go, and let me take another one over here. Three, two, one, go. Okay, guys. From the bottom of my heart, thank you, Mary, for joining me today. I hope this session will help you in order to be successful in your applications. Don't give up.
Never
Prepare
give up.
yourself mentally.
Yep. I'm here to help you be successful. And just if you call me and let me know that you were part of this presentation, I will give you a discount. I'm flexible with my pricing and payment plans.
Look at that. So this is a good bonus for you. I submitted 2 documents that this is part of the bonus. Please go to the chat box and download that information that will help you, okay? So what is the idea? Don't give up. Prepare yourself mentally. Remember, spend time reading, understanding the focus of your applications because the industry, the food and agricultural industry need professionals like you. We have to know how we are going to just promote ourselves, how we are going to start marketing ourselves correctly. We are learning. This is part of the process, okay? Thank you, guys. I'll see you soon, okay? Bye
Thank
bye.
you,
Have a
Martha,
good
for
weekend,
hosting.
everyone. Mary, love you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye bye, guys. Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you, Happy.